What are we at? 10 minutes past 9 this morning. Plenty still to come. We've got Deal or No Deal, rugby with Alan Quinlan. And up next, it's the pressure rankings.
OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
Looking for a football show with a bit of a twist?
So I know the likes of Griezmann's big into his fashion.
He wanted a lot. One question he actually asked me was, could he make his studs light up when he runs?
Team 33, the football magazine show for the football purists.
Yeah, the Nike Mercurials from 1998, if you just show that boot to an entire generation of people, and they just get instantly nostalgic and remember everything from that era.
The very best interviews with the cult heroes of the past, and a look at the cultural side of football. Team 33, live at 9 p.m. every Friday on OTB Sports Radio. Live 24/7 on the OTB Sports app.
Dad Pod. This is a video thing as well.
Does it have a name?
Podcast.
Midlife crisis.
Paddy Daddy.
Midlife crisis.
Dadcast.
That's not bad, actually, yeah.
Dadcast with Cadbury Freddo Treasures. Tuesdays from 3 p.m. on OTB Sports Radio. Tune in on the OTB Sports app.
OTB AM.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
For me, it was a self-imposed pressure.
Was I under pressure? No.
Yeah, they're under pressure. Everyone's under pressure.
OTB AM's pressure rankings with Gillette.
And the big pressure.
Yeah, Roy. Everybody's under pressure. Everybody's under pressure. Not as much pressure as the 5 people on our pressure rankings brought to you by Gillette every Monday morning. Today, instead of it being Owen with the big pressure stick, it's Nathan. How are you, Nathan?
I'm very well.
What have you got for us? Where are we starting?
We're starting with the great underachievers of Irish sport over the last decade. Munster rugby, under enormous pressure this week. They come back to Dublin, back to the big town, Friday night to take on Leinster. Having not won in Dublin in 5-6 years, they finally need to get one over to give their fans something and to stop Leinster putting together what will probably be the greatest club season ever seen in the Northern Hemisphere, if they can go on and win the Pro 14 and win the Champions Cup. Leo Cullen legitimately can walk out and say, there's only 2 great teams in Ireland, Leinster and Leinster B.
Ooh.
And Munster need to stop that.
OK. A lot of very Leinster-centric criticism of the decision to kick the ball out of touch last week when it was 27-25. They could have gone the length of the pitch, won the game and avoided Leinster in the semi-final if results had gone the right way. Part of me actually thinks that what they were doing was, OK, we've lost our world-class second row who was crushing your line-out from the start and gave you the heebie-jeebies for the rest of the game simply by virtue of the fact that he'd done what he did in the first line-out throw. And we then lost our replacement, Irish qualified and playing World Cup lock. We had, all of our injuries, and we were still only 2 points down to your best team. Kick the ball out of touch. We'll see you again next week. We'll be back here next week, and we know what you're capable of, and we'll crush you then. I actually thought there was a little bit of the confidence in them going, I don't mind seeing the semi-final. I'll take you in the semi-final. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm not quite sure I share your confidence of Munster's ability to think like that mid-game when there's crisis all around, but perhaps... and. That is what at stake, though, for Munster on Friday night. If they can go and win, end this long, 23-game winning run of Leinster, suddenly Leinster are going against Saracens, deflated. Suddenly, we're looking at them in a totally different way. And Munster, heading into a new season, knowing maybe you might get Snyman back for the knockout stage of the Champions Cup next year. Maybe you get Joey Carberry back for that as well next April. You're looking at life totally differently, but I just think they got to perform. They need a win, finally. They need to go and win in Dublin.
Does Irish rugby need them to win?
I always like greatness. So, is it a choice of Munster beating Leinster, good for Irish rugby, or Leinster actually putting together one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen? I'd probably go for the latter.
You always like greatness. Just so I can let that, Have you ever seen it? You haven't. It's great. Yeah, okay.
I'm not looking at it right now, anyway.
Next on the list is Lionel Messi. A little bit of pressure ramped up on Lionel Messi, where he obviously knows exactly what he wants to do. He must have thought, my lawyers are going to be able to work their way through this. And La Liga came out and said, no. Buyout clause, written down, pay the money, away you go. It works the same for absolutely every other footballer in history, where the buyout clause is agreed in the contract, you pay the buyout clause and away we go. The fact that you inserted a ridiculous 700 million buyout clause, well, Lionel, that's on you. The fact that you didn't trigger this release date when you could have done, all you had to do was send your little burofax in May or in the middle of the pandemic and say, look, lads, this is great, I know. Like, why did it take the 8-2 to trigger this? Why all of a sudden has the petulance arrived and Lionel's like, OK, I've had enough? Did he actually think that they were going to fix things with Kike Setien? Did training go so well over the pandemic that he thought that, actually, you know what, I'm going to stay, and he's only now changing his mind? Or are the lawyers that he pays with all his money not good enough to send the burofax on time? But now he's under a little bit of pressure, and I'm not sure that he's going to get his way here.
Maybe he trusted his genius a little bit too much, that I single-handedly can somehow drag Barcelona through against Bayern Munich to a Champions League final.
Worked okay in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, he's in a difficult position now because all the stories are obviously that Manchester City are putting together a package worth $500 million for Messi in wages. If you suddenly have to add in another 150 million in terms of a transfer fee, well, they might have issues with financial fair play.
Well, I mean, they won't, because they know their way around it really well, and they've never had any issues with it in the past. So perhaps 150 million, whatever that drop of money that they have to come to with Barcelona for Man City, maybe that doesn't matter. And who knows? Maybe they can find a way out of it. What's next?
Rory McIlroy is going to be facing a little bit of pressure this week. Not just 15 million at stake at the FedEx Cup finale at the Tour Championship in Atlanta. He's also waiting for that phone call to say, get home quick, the baby is about to arrive. So what do? Do you go to Atlanta, or do you just say, you know what, I'm going to leave it for this year? As he said last night, I have many, many more opportunities. So this is what he faces over the next 3 days. Never really found myself in that sort of a scenario with my own 3 children. You know, I always, the month before, took things handy. It did remind me, though, of going to Poland for Euro 2012 when I think I left at home a 4-month-old. Had to go work. You got to do these things. That was fine. And I was sharing an apartment with Dave Moore, now of Today FM. And I was telling Dave of, the terrible horror when I arrived of having to leave my 4-month-old child for 2-3 weeks in Poland to work. And he said, yeah, my wife is due any day. I think she may have been due that day. Yet still, he went to Poland. He went to Poland and managed to get... Fair play to Giovanni Trapattoni and the absolute shit show it turned out to be. He managed to get the whole thing in.
Wow.
And was home again before the baby was born. Well, what a man.
That baby knows timing. The flight time from Atlanta, where the golf is, to Florida is about 1 hour and 6 minutes. So it's fine. He's got a private jet waiting. The engines are constantly being revved just in case. It's fine. This is the week where he just needs to play well, right? This could be his last bit of freedom.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what do you mean? You mean that when you have a child, your freedom is curtailed? Can't live your life the way you once did?
It's different. It is undoubtedly different. Who's next on our list?
Different good or different bad?
Oh, it's different brilliant. You become a man, Nathan.
Next, we have, Stephen Kenny. There is pressure. There are those who are doubters. There are those out there who are ready to stab him in the back if things don't go well in a Nations League game. The very same people who probably don't even recognise the importance of the Nations League, who can't sit down and tell you what it actually means. But they're still going to say that these games are now of importance. And also for himself, I'm sure he's going to put himself under a lot of internal pressure. He's waited a long time for this moment. The nation awaits a new style of football, not just results. We want a transformed, something to believe in. So there's a lot of pressure on Stephen Kenny to deliver that in Sofia on Thursday night and back at an empty Aviva Stadium next Sunday.
Yeah, it's not an ideal start, but actually COVID kind of worked out in many ways, and then he's going to have a glut of games very early on, and he'll have an opportunity to get everybody together, get a bit of momentum, and hopefully cascade towards the Euros next summer, which at the moment is still slated to be all across Europe, but you've got to assume is actually going to end up being in England or Spain or Germany or France, more than likely.
In a bubble.
Yeah. OK, so a little bit of pressure on Stephen Kenny. I'm making the point that there's a little bit of pressure on Jurgen Klopp where he's watching all of the best clubs in England invest in loads of different things. He laughed off the notion of Leo Messi coming to Liverpool. Why would it be that the best team in the world can't actually afford or put together a package to entice the best player in the world? Why is it so laughable? Thiago, at one point, it was like, well, Man United could hijack that deal. Just get the deal done if he's a player you want. I mean, are they that parsimonious that they can't afford 30 million for a midfielder?
Well, if you saw the Liverpool documentary last night about the 30 years of hurt and all that had gone wrong, and you look back in Hicks and Gillette and how bad things had got financially, you do wonder how Liverpool can complain about being in a tough spot money-wise, particularly when all the financial records of the last couple of years show they're closing right in on Manchester United in terms of all sorts of revenue, matchday revenue with the change to the stadium, commercial revenue. Obviously, they've been in the Champions League where Manchester United haven't. So how that they are so out of the running, even for Lionel Messi, it's never going to happen, but that they can't even feign some sort of interest or dream, I'm not quite sure. The club has been run in a very solid manner, but to suggest that this summer they can't spend 30 million on Thiago, somebody who would markedly improve their squad, if that were to happen, that they missed out on him for financial reasons, I think supporters would have huge reason to be concerned. Because remember, all right, they bought Alisson and Van Dijk, but we're talking 2.5 years ago now. They bought Minamino in January. Didn't buy anybody last summer. So at some stage, you got to reinvest. As Alex Ferguson used to do, you strengthen from a position of strength. Thiago does that. I suspect it's that Thiago's just been winning the Champions League there last week and it's been slightly delayed and this will happen. But they got to make it happen. They probably got to get another one in as well.
They've been unbelievably fortunate in that the selection of players has been excellent, absolutely excellent so far. You know, you go back to Andy Robertson, a steal for what they paid for him, and the fact that Alisson worked out, that Virgil worked out, and that money was essentially the Coutinho money. That's a remarkable piece of luck in some ways. Obviously, you know, Jurgen Klopp has to be the absolute genius that he is to be able to get them into the team, and whoever's identified those players, whatever collective transfer committee they have, has done an excellent job. But, like, spend some money.
And also they've been somewhat fortuitous with injuries. I know Liverpool supporters will say Alisson missed a huge amount of time at the start of last season. Jordan Henderson had injury problems. But the front three are almost always fit and always play. And the next best thing is Divock Origi, who is never going to be good enough to put together a run of 10 games where he scores in 7-8 of them. Graham Brewster, who's still a young kid, and you would want to see him get some game time this season. And after that, you're probably having to change your system. So go and buy somebody. Go again and invest. So you put yourself in a position that this time next year, if you want, you can sell Salah for 100 million. Or you can sell Mane if Barcelona, as they're regrouping with all this Messi money, want to go and sign somebody. Don't leave yourself in a position where you've sold Salah for 100 million. Everybody knows that. And you got to go and buy Adama Traore with Wolves going, well, we know what you got in your back pocket. You can give us all that right now.
Yeah, get him in now.
So I think they got to go and do something.
All right, get him in now. What are we at? 24 minutes past 9. That is this week's Pressure Rankings.
OTB AM's Pressure Rankings with Gillette.
Yeah, a reminder, of course, OTB AM live in association with Gillette. Good morning. Start with Gillette, giving you the confidence to tackle the day ahead.